Hello, my name is Jennifer Lavia of Lavia Law. Today we're going to talk about how to complete the Florida Family Law Financial Affidavit short form, which is the form that you'll use if you make under $50,000 per year. You can find that form at flcourts.org. The first 3 pages of the form are the instruction pages, and you do not need those because I'm going to explain to you how to fill out the form, and you don't need to include those when you file your form with the court. The top part of the form you can find in another video, and the bottom part as well. Where you put in your name and your occupation is self-explanatory. The more difficult part is figuring out what is your pay rate. And the most important thing is, what is your monthly gross income? To figure that out is a little bit complicated. It's easy if you get paid every week. Whatever you make every week, you're going to multiply by 52 because you get paid 52 weeks. And then you're going to divide that number by 12, and that's your monthly pay. If you get paid every other week, then you're going to get 26 paychecks in a year. And so you're going to multiply that number by 26 and divide it by 12. And that will be how much you make every month. The easiest ones, of course, are if you're paid twice a month, just multiply by 2, and that's how much you make every month. We're looking for gross income. So that's the amount that you get in your paycheck before your taxes or any other deductions are taken out of your check. So if you look in section 1, present monthly gross income, the first line is where you're going to put what your total monthly gross salary or wages is. The next line, number 2, is where you put bonuses, overtime, tips, additional income that you're making. And most of those things you're not going to know exactly how much you make every month. Bonuses may be something that you get, several times a year, but they're not something you can count on. You don't know how much they're going to be specifically, so you're just going to put an estimate. And remember, this also is a monthly amount that you're putting in. So if you get a $1,200 bonus at the end of the year, then you're going to divide that by 12, and your monthly bonus is going to be $100. Things like overtime and tips are things you're really going to have to estimate. Just put your best estimate of how much you make. Business income is a little bit more difficult to calculate because you're going to need to figure out how much are you bringing in your business, and then subtract the expenses from your business. And that would probably be a yearly figure, and then you're going to divide that again by 12 to get a monthly number. In line number 4, you're going to put disability benefits or SSI. And disability could be from SSDI, or it also could be VA disability benefits. For number 9, where you see alimony actually received, if someone is paying you alimony, either the person who's involved in this lawsuit, you're going to put how much alimony is actually being paid in this case, or it could be from another case if you had a previous marriage. On the next page, on line number 13, you're going to see reimbursed expenses. This is where you're going to put things like if you get free housing, or if you have a company car, then how much is that every month that you're receiving? Do you receive an allowance for housing, or do you receive housing that is worth a specific amount? Monthly is going to go in that line. And then you're going to total up all of that income that you're receiving and put that in line number 17. Then the next thing you have to do is figure out your monthly deductions. I usually don't fill in number 18, 19, and 20, which is all the taxes that are coming out, because we use child support guidelines that are going to calculate that for you automatically. You won't have to do that. But it is a good idea to include in A and B your filing status and the number of dependents that you claim on your tax returns. So in lines 18, 19, and 20, you can just leave those blank. In line 21, 22, and 23, those are things that are taken out of your check, and they're required to come out of your check. So if you have to pay union dues, or you are required to pay into your retirement account, or your employer is taking out money for health insurance, you're going to include those numbers. And in that spot, number 23 is health insurance for you, not for your children. Sometimes you're going to get one number, like for the state of Florida, say, is about $180 a month, which would cover you and your family. You have to figure out which part of that is for you and which part of that is for your children. Then in line 24, you're going to put child support that you actually pay, but not for the children in this relationship. It's going to be for children from another case. Line 25 is alimony you actually pay, either to the person involved in this case or maybe from a previous relationship. Then you're going to total up those deductions, and you'll have your present net monthly income when you subtract. The next page, section 2, is where you put your average monthly expenses. And again, you got to do some math, because you got to figure out how much am I spending every month. Some of your expenses are going to be monthly, like your mortgage or your rent, so that's pretty easy. But things like property taxes, if they're not included in your mortgage, you may pay once a year. Again, you just do the math, divide it by 12, and put the monthly amount in those blanks. And if you're not sure, like how much gas you buy every month, you can just write the word estimate next to it. Just give it your best guess. For children's expenses in subsection C, there is an entry there for medical and dental uninsured. And what that means is any expenses that you have for the medical or dental expenses of your children that's not covered by insurance. That would include copays that you have to pay. It would also include things like maybe a procedure that's not covered. Maybe your child needs braces and you don't have insurance that would cover that. That would go in the uninsured. But again, remember to put that as a monthly expense. Subsection D includes medical and dental if it's not taken out of your check. This again is your insurance. How much are you paying for your medical or dental insurance? And then there's a separate line for the children's medical or dental insurance. Then in subsection E, there's another line for medical or dental uninsured, and that is for your personal uninsured medical or dental expenses. In subsection F, we've got payments to creditors. This is things like your credit cards, student loans, car loans. You're going to put what amount you spend every month on those individual payments. List the name of the creditor and then how much you pay monthly. Then in line 28, you're just going to total up your monthly expenses. In the summary section, you're going to include in line 29 the amount of your present monthly net income. You look back at line 27, you'll see that number. Your total monthly expenses, which is right above in line 28. And then you're going to subtract your expenses from your income, and that's going to give you what's left at the end of every month. And if it's a positive number, it's your surplus, and if it's a negative number, it's going to be in the deficit line. Then the next section you're going to look at is section 3, which is your assets and liabilities. If you don't have any assets or liabilities, you can skip section A and section B. Assets are all the things you own. Liabilities are all the things that you owe, your debts. In the assets section, the hardest, probably the biggest asset that you have would be if you own a home. And how do you value that? You're going to put an estimate there unless you have an actual appraisal that's been done of your home. So I usually use a number that's somewhere between what the property appraiser says and what Zillow says, and just get an estimate of what the home is worth. For your automobiles, the best way to figure out how much your car is worth is to go to kellybluebook.com, which is kbb.com. Put in the information about your car and you'll figure out how much your car is worth. Then any other personal property would include things like if you have a collection of some kind. Maybe you have a bunch of firearms. Maybe you have a bunch of Beanie Babies. Maybe you have baseball cards. How much are those things worth? What about the things in your house? You might have expensive furniture. That would be included. But you don't have to include everything that you own in that line. And then you're going to total up the assets that you own. The next section is Section B, which is liabilities, and these are where you list your debts. The biggest debts are probably the mortgage if you have a mortgage on your home and your auto loan. Then you're going to list your credit cards and any other charge accounts that you have. So this amount is not the monthly amount, it's the total that you owe on your credit cards. You're going to list each credit card and list how much is the total that you owe on that credit card. This is also where you would put things like student loans or any other kind of personal loan that you've taken out. And then you're going to total that to get the total of your debts. Looking at Section C, this is for contingent assets and liabilities. And that means something that you don't have yet but that you're expecting to get. For example, if you've been in a car accident and you're expecting to get a settlement, you're going to get paid some lump sum of money, you would put that in this section. It's pretty unusual that anybody would complete this section. All right, Section 4 is the Child Support Guidelines Worksheet. You're just going to check the box. If you have child support issues in your case, you will be required to file the Child Support Guidelines Worksheet. There will be a separate video on how to do that, so check the website to look for that video. There's also a video on how to complete the rest of the form, the certificate of service, the signature section, and the non-lawyer portion. So look for that video on our website as well. Thank you.